Look at me. Look closely at these eyes. At 84 years old, I've lived through more than most people read in history books. I've seen empires rise and fall, and I've seen thousands of women, beautiful, brilliant, successful women, waste their best years crying over men who didn't even deserve to stand in their shadow. You're here today because you feel it, don't you? You feel like you're doing everything right. You're dedicated, you're caring, you're intimate. And yet, you feel like you're becoming invisible. You feel like the more you give, the less he notices. It hurts, doesn't it? Good. That pain is your wake-up call. I'm not here to sugarcoat things for you. I don't have time for fairy tales, and at your age, neither do you. If you want to be the woman he never forgets, the woman who haunts his thoughts even years after you're gone, you have to stop playing the game by the rules society gave you. You need to touch the one point of weakness every man has. And no, it's not his ego, and it's certainly not what happens in the bedroom. I'm talking about a deep, ancestral hunger for something I call magnetic peace. I'm going to tell you something your friends, your mother, and those glossy magazines are too afraid to say. Sex is cheap. In the modern world, it's a commodity. It's everywhere. If you think that's your only leverage, you've already lost the battle. A man might stay for the night because of your body, but he will only stay for a lifetime because of your spirit. The biggest mistake women make is trying to be useful. They think if they fix his life, if they manage his schedule, if they become his unpaid therapist, he will never leave. What a tragedy. The moment you become useful, you become an object. You become a tool, like a GPS or a microwave. People don't fall in love with tools. They use them until they break, or until a newer model comes along. Passion doesn't come from being helpful. Passion comes from the mystery of the chase and the fear of loss. For 8 decades, I've watched this dance of power. And let's be honest, relationships are about power. If you aren't using yours, he is using his over you. Do you know how I always held the upper hand? With my silence. The silence of a woman who knows her worth is louder than any screaming argument. When you nag him for attention, you're telling him, I am small, and I need you to make me feel big. But when you go quiet and focus on your own light, your silence says, I am a sun, and you are just a planet lucky enough to orbit me. That terrifies a man. It touches his deepest insecurity, the fear of being irrelevant. He starts to wonder what you're thinking, who else is seeing your light, and why he isn't the center of your universe anymore. That is how you create an obsession. Most women ignore this because they've been conditioned to be nurturers. They think love means total surrender. That is a lie that ruins lives. Total surrender is the fastest path to being taken for granted. If you give him everything, what is left for him to earn? Nothing. And a man's brain is wired to value what he earns, not what he is given for free. The point of weakness for every man is the doubt of possession. The second he is 100% sure he owns you and that you'll never leave, his drive to pursue you dies. You stop being the prize and start being the trophy gathering dust on the shelf. If you want to be addictive, you have to be unpredictable. You have to be the woman he can never quite map out. Look at the women men never truly get over. They aren't always the prettiest. They aren't the ones who did everything right. They were the ones who walked away first. They were the ones who said no when everyone else said yes. They were the ones who showed him that their world was too vast to fit in his backyard. A man's weakness is finding a woman he cannot buy, cannot bend, and most importantly, cannot replace. But you're sitting there counting the minutes until he texts back. You're monitoring his social media like a cheap detective. You don't realize that every time you do that, you're feeding his ego with your own desperation. And desperation is the most repulsive scent a woman can wear. I've seen women in their 20s, 40s, and 60s make the same mistake. They become easy to read. They give him the manual to their soul on the first date. Listen to me. You are the director, the writer, and the star of your life. The man is, at best, a supporting actor. If he doesn't play the part well, you recast the role. When you change that mindset, when you stop begging for affection and start demanding respect through your absence, everything changes. His weakness is the silent authority of a woman who knows her value doesn't depend on a ring or a good morning text. You think being provocative means wearing a short dress? How naive. Provocative is having a secret he will never uncover. Provocative is a look that says, I like you, but I don't belong to you. That is what keeps a man awake at night. That is what makes him drive for hours just to see you for 10 minutes. It's the uncertainty of possession. A man wants to own what he feels is untamable. The moment you let yourself be tamed, you become scenery. And nobody looks at the same scenery every day with passion. You have to choose. Do you want to be the exception, or do you want to be the rule? Because the rule is being replaced when someone more interesting comes along. A man's true weakness is your happiness without him. Nothing hurts a man's pride more than seeing the woman he thought he had won, shining brightly without his help. They want to be the sun in your solar system. When you show them that you are your own sun, they get lost. They start orbiting you, trying desperately to regain their position of importance. That's where you touch the nerve. That's where you become a legend in his mind. Because you aren't a dependent anymore. You are a force of nature. And nobody forgets a hurricane. Stop trying to understand what he wants. Start deciding what you will no longer accept. If he ignores you, it's not because he's busy. It's because you showed him that you're always available, like a backup plan that never fails. Change your posture today. Change your tone. Put yourself at the top of the list. A man's weakness is the woman he cannot control, no matter how much charm he uses. He will try to bend you. He will use silence against you. He will make empty promises. Don't fall for it. Stay firm in your center. Be the rock where his waves break and retreat back to the sea. Male psychology hasn't changed since I was a little girl. They want what is rare. They value what costs them emotionally. If you cost very little, you are worth very little in his mind. If it costs effort, consistency, and respect just to get a minute of your time, you become the most precious thing he's ever found. Learn to charge a high price for your presence. Don't be everywhere. Don't respond to everything. Be the exclusive event that only a man of high value can attend. I know you're afraid. You're afraid that if you step back, he'll find someone else. But let me tell you a secret from someone who has lived a very long time. If he leaves because you started respecting yourself, he was never yours to begin with. He was just a parasite feeding on your low self-esteem. Open the door and wish him a safe trip. Life is too short, and I can say that with authority, to spend 1 second with someone who doesn't fear your absence. A real man's weakness is the terror of losing a woman he knows he will never find again on any other corner of this earth. Become that woman. Become the mystery he never finishes reading. Become the queen who doesn't need a king to validate her crown. I've done my part in these 84 years. I've touched the weakness of many, and believe me, not one of them ever forgot me. To this day, some are still trying to find my trail in the dark. But I moved on. And you? Are you going to keep sitting there waiting for him to see your value? Or are you going to stand up and show him that your value is a price he can't afford to miss? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. I've seen too many women lose their beauty and their youth waiting for a maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is a lie men tell to keep good girls waiting. Your today is the only thing you own. Where are you going to invest it? Being someone's shadow or being your own light? If you had the stomach to hear the truth this far, show me you're different. Comment below, I am my own sun. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't waste any more time. The feast is on the table, but only the strong sit down to eat. The rest stay on the floor with the scraps. Where are you sitting today?